it shows how talented she is, because in order to pull this off, we needed all ambient light in the room to be off. So it had to be completely dark. And then it was just
Wow.
the purple gel light.
Welcome to Photographer Profile. My name is Nathan Rupert, and I started this podcast to give photographers a worldwide platform to share their work and stories. Special guest today, Hannah. Hey, Hannah, how are you doing?
I'm good, Nathan. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, just give the viewers an introduction about yourself and your photography for those people watching.
Yeah, I'm Hannah Couzens. I'm a portrait photographer. I am based just outside of London. It's probably about 10 miles north of London. I've had my portrait business here for the last, well, this year marks 20 years in business. So this is all I know how to do.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah, that's it. People ask me sometimes, what would you do if you weren't doing photography? And I say, I have no idea, because this is all I've ever known.
What do you enjoy outside of photography? Do you have any hobbies that you enjoy?
Once upon a time, before I had the two very small children, I used to exercise. I used to swim a lot. I used to do that kind of thing. In all honesty, I don't get much time to do very much these days. I am a huge music lover, though. I do love music as well. Yeah, trying to do anything. We've got two self-employed people and two very small children, and trying to do anything outside of that is, yeah, it doesn't really happen these days.
Any big famous people you've seen lately in London at a concert or festival? Anything like that?
I think the last gig that I actually went to was Coldplay. I think that was the last thing that I went to, which is quite
That's big. That's
sad
pretty
because
big.
yeah, oh, it was awesome. It was at Wembley. I'm hoping I can somehow blag some tickets to get in again this year, because I was the one that was on the phone and on the hitting refresh trying to get in. But yeah, those tickets just went like, just no chance of getting in. And of course, Wembley was so iconic as well. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen them. It's a lot, but it just gets better and better.
Just ping them on Instagram and be like, you guys need an official photographer for your portraits during the concert or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they'll be like, oh yeah, just you. That's fine.
All right, well, let's not keep the people waiting here. Let's go look at your picture showcase. I picked out one of the pictures that you sent me. Let me bring that up real fast. Can you see that?
I can, yeah. Oh, that was a fun day.
Yeah, just tell the story behind this picture and what you're going for here.
Sure, absolutely. So the lady in the picture is a singer, and I've worked with her for many years. We made the decision to get up at sunrise just to sort of see what it would give us, and we thought, let's get up early, let's see what the conditions are going to be like, and let's try and shoot something. It was amazing. I don't know what time we were down there. It was September. It was cold. We were just on the beach somewhere. There was some cliffs, and we were going for that. And then the second this sun started to appear like it did, we just went, run, go to the water. Let's go, everybody go. There was myself, a videographer, an assistant, and Rachel, and we just ran straight towards the water's edge. Like, let's get this, because this is incredible. I was super happy with everything that we had gotten up until this point, but the conditions were changing constantly. We'd gone from this really kind of pink, orange, beautiful kind of sunrise, then everything lost all color whatsoever. There was no horizon line, basically, because of the fog, and it was incredible. We sort of said, this is mad, this is a crazy idea, but what about laying down in the water? I was bending down to sort of try and get a different perspective. As I got down there, I realized just how reflective everything was, and I was like, this water is still, this is like a lake. And she was completely up for it. So it was trying to find somewhere where you would get the perfect mirrored reflection without the rocks and the seaweed, where the background, because there's no Photoshop here, it's just kind of seamless. But also I had to look very carefully at where the sun was and where her head position would be, so that I got a semi-decent light on her face as well, and not too much of an ugly lighting pattern going on. It makes me smile, and I'm so glad we just did it. Sometimes you get caught up in the moment, and yeah, we just did it. We went for it. It was great.
You got the water like right before it hits the edge of her eye, right there, like perfect level. You know what I mean? Right at the edge.
Yeah.
of hitting her
Absolutely. We were
eye
kind
there.
of absolutely. It was we had to be so careful. It was just a case of trying to gradually edge in, and we sort of started, and then I was like, okay, down a bit more, tiny bit more, tiny bit more, and then until we got it right on the edge. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good one, that.
It reminds me of the princess going for a dip in the water. I don't
Right.
know. It's cool.
Yeah, the outfit and everything. It worked out really well. It's great fun, that one.
All right, let me bring up the next one. Very different location for this shot.
Yeah, absolutely. This was an interesting one. This was part of the Photo B10 campaign when that first came out. So the idea being with these new lights that they were very portable, that you could set up anywhere, still have the power that you needed, all of those things. I needed to sort of showcase that. There was a particular location, probably about 30, 40 minutes drive from where I live. It's known for its lavender fields and that kind of landscape. However, at the back, they had this kind of corn wheat field, and I was like, this is also a great place to shoot. So we're right on the edge of it. She's not like immersed in it because, of course, you want to look after the landscape. So she's literally set on the edge of where it all starts. There's two lights actually involved in this shot. So there's the light that's lighting up her face to lift the shadows on her face. There's that one there, and just put that little that little catch light, that little sparkle in her eye. But on the side of her hair, we've actually got a second light. I think it's about half CTO gel. Give a little bit of separation, add a little bit of warmth into it. So it's quite a popular image, this one. It looks quite unusual. I got accused of putting in a false background, and I'd really photoshopped her skin, and I'm like, sorry guys, I haven't. That's what she looks like. And
She's just that.
that was
She's
the
just that beautiful. She's
conditions.
that perfect.
I know, like, what was I supposed to say? I'm like, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's what she looks like. Yeah, quite a funny one, really. It was, I don't know why people were kind of like, this looks CGI, this looks this, and her face has been over photoshopped. I'm like, literally hasn't though. It's so funny. It's really funny when you're the creator of the image and you know the person involved, and you can keep going with your accusations, but I don't know what you want me to say. It's the truth is the truth. It was just one of those
Her
that just turned out
skincare routine must be amazing. She has no zits, no pimples. Her skin is like
nothing. And
perfect.
she always looks like this as well. She has the most incredible skin, and although that's why she's hired all the time as well for all these campaigns, because I've known her for years, and yeah, she's always immaculate and very minimal makeup and everything else. She just looks fantastic as she is. That's why she gets hired.
Before we look at your next picture, let me ask you a question. Get a little insight into your mind here. For people that want to get into portrait photography, do this as a career, what kind of advice have you learned from a mentor? What kind of advice would you give to
Yeah.
people wanting to get into this type of career these days?
When I was 16 and I was on work experience, the guy said to me that portraiture was 80% personality and 20% skill, which I thought was a little out there. But as the years have gone on, I kind of understand his point. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that you've got to be interested in people. You don't necessarily have to be a complete people person as such. It's not like you have to be the life and soul of the party and you've got to be funny and you've got to crack jokes. It's not that. That's not it. It's just being able to have a genuine interest in people and to be able to connect with them and to be able to make people feel at ease. A really nice compliment that somebody said to me once is that they said, I don't know what it is about you, but you're just able to disarm people. I thought,
Oh,
that's
that's
really
nice.
nice. Anytime somebody is the other side of the camera, they always tense up. They bit of nerves or bravado or whatever stress might come out. I'd like to think that I was able to just try to get people back to who they really are. Then you can really get an accurate portrait of them. What I would say is, if somebody's starting out and looking to get into it, working on your people skills and having some people skills is a good start. I've definitely seen some people that are probably technically pretty good, but the way that they speak to their models or their subjects, just ways of talking to people and just common courtesy
Yeah.
and being polite and respectful. Also degree of empathy as well, because for the person that's the sitter, it might be their first time they've ever had their picture taken. They might feel uncomfortable, they don't know what's going to happen, they don't know the process, they don't know what they're supposed to do. Perhaps they are fearful of the outcome because they've only ever seen terrible photos of themselves.
Oh God.
It's about also being able to put yourself in their position and their shoes and understand how they're feeling, and therefore knowing what to say and what to do about it to be able to, like calm them down and get them where you need them to be, I guess.
Yeah, and I would add finding a location that works good with their personality, their outfit, identifying what is unique about their look that you can kind of bring out as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
Absolutely. I'm heavily studio based. Kind of, I forget about that. I always say to people, if they're coming in for a shoot, bring 2 or 3 options so we can have a look. Because how do people know what looks good on camera? Before I sat down and I had a white top on, and I sat down here and I went, wow, I haven't seen the sun in so long. I'm going upstairs and getting changed. You think actually putting something dark on would make it worse, but I just looked like I was like, no, this is a no. I need to see the sun. But how do people know? Like, they're not supposed to know. And so having a few options that you can look through, then that helps you decide background, lighting, what's the feel, what are you going for? Absolutely, you're 100% right. That's definitely worth it and really helps too.
Awesome. Let's take a look at the next photo here. We're going back in time here with this
Ooh,
photo.
yes, there we are. This is fun because I don't know what's coming, what pictures are going to come up next. I like it. It's great. This particular shot and a few images around it, I do some work for a company called Garrison Tailors. And it was started by Stephen Knight, who is the creator of Peaky Blinders. He made a clothing line, a tailoring company, based on the fact that most people had seen the TV series and therefore really, really liked the style of how the characters were dressed. And so therefore he created a clothing line where people could basically purchase the outfits to look like they were part of the series. So
I love that show.
it's quite fun because I know who doesn't, right? Well, actually, quite a few people don't, but I love it. I happen to love it as well. I loved everything about it. It was great fun.
John, ready?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Have a drink.
These aren't shots necessarily to show off the clothing. They have those, like they will have, somebody else to do that, or they'll use cutouts on models, etc. But what my job is to create some imagery that felt like the show, that sort of felt like it would fit in around the show, similar vibes to it. I went to this vintage store. I love them. The kind of stores you walk in and it absolutely stinks. It really smells musty and old, and they really smell. And I found this, I've had this lamp for ages. I bought it. And with the props and things, I wanted things to feel like they were authentic. This is shot in a cricket club, because if I shot in an actual pub, you would have to be in there at a time of day where it was not disruptive for the landlord.
Right.
Of course, here pubs are open pretty much all the time. It would only be the morning where that would happen, and I knew I didn't want to have a shoot where there was lots of natural light coming in. I needed it to be quite moody, etc. Everything in there is really old and beaten up, which is exactly what I wanted. It's there's more lights than you would think. The light on the guy's face is actually a flash. It's a strip box with a grid on it and a warming CTO gel in it. There's another light in the back that's coming from behind him, which is actually shot outside through the window. That has also got a warming gel on it. We've got some spray, like smoke in a can kind of thing. So it wasn't quite a hazer, but it's a similar thing. Obviously, the light coming through the window would pick that up to create this kind of atmosphere. It's kind of like the old school pubs. You wanted to create that kind of smoky atmosphere.
Does the hat come with a razor blade?
Thankfully not. See, the funniest, I'll tell you a funny story though, Nathan. So I ran a casting call and I was looking through, all these models, etc. And I was like, gosh, and I was like, no one seems to fit. And all of a sudden, this guy, he's my cousin. And he was perfect. I've used him and they have requested him again so many times, and obviously he just suits it. I don't know, there's something, I don't know, must be something about our family. We're probably a little bit rough around the edges that we kind of seem to suit it. It was great fun. So although I ran this casting call, it was useless, and went with my cousin.
Started his modeling career. You started his modeling career for him.
I know, right? It's really funny, and the irony is that he's, you know, kind of looks like a real thug in some of these portraits that I've taken of him. Yet he is a doorman at one of the most lavish hotels in central London, and is the most polite guy you would ever meet. So he's really kind of got into the role here.
That's awesome. Okay, let's take a look at the
bit of fun.
Next one. All right, we're going from dark and dreary to light and airy here. Bring the mood back up a little bit.
Oh yes, absolutely. Wow. Oh blimey, wow, that was hot. Yeah, it's so funny when you bring these up, with the memories that come back with it. Definitely, it's so much fun. I've done many shoots in Santorini in Greece where this was shot. I have some fantastic friends out there, and they're wonderful. They're amazing, and you know they're locals to the island, so you get to know these places, and they introduce you to places where you just wouldn't know otherwise, and they're not in the touristy areas necessarily. But this actually was part of a tutorial series that we created, and the same model, the one with the over processed skin. Again, she looks like that. This shot in particular was all about shooting in conditions like this, midday sun, really kind of, the light out there is so hardcore. It's funny because a lot of people would say, well, why don't you just use the natural light? But if it's not in the direction of where you want to shoot, that's why you use flash. And some people would argue that, oh, I wouldn't shoot at midday, etc. Well, maybe not, but I always say, if you're running a business, and if the client requires you and the job requires you to shoot at that time in this destination, you got to be able to have the skills to do it. You can't say, oh no, sorry, I only shoot past 5 o'clock, when the sun's better in the sky or whatever, like it doesn't work that way.
Or that you're hired for a wedding. Maybe you're hired for a wedding and it's during that time of day or something like that.
Thank you. Exactly. I mean, I don't shoot weddings, but exactly that. I've had many wedding photographers who have contacted me and sort of said, I've got this shoot and it's a destination wedding and they're getting married at 1 o'clock and then I want the photo straight afterwards. And like, well, then that's it. Exactly. And then you need to be able to know how to deal with conditions like that and get the best out of it, for sure.
She's very close to the edge here. That seems very dangerous.
It looks more dangerous than it is. If you see to the on the side there is another level, and there is another level behind her, thankfully. But I always say to them, I'm like, I'm not sure about this, and like, she hasn't got any shoes on, she's flat-footed, someone is stood next to her, and it does look very dangerous. But there's another level that you can't see, as it were. So it's not like she's sheer drop.
That makes me feel better. Was this like a roof of a restaurant? Was this on the roof of a restaurant?
So there's very narrow alleyways which snake all around the back of this area. It's just a walkthrough for people to get into the village, basically. Tourists wouldn't know that it was there. It's definitely off the beaten track. It's not an obvious place at all. But that's the beauty of having friends that know the area and can advise you of where to shoot, etc. So it worked out really well.
The red just pops against the white and the blue, right? You just have the 3 layers of colors.
Yeah, it's kind of the cliche thing to do, to put red in with that white and blue, but if it works, it works. So we went with it. For that shot in particular, it was like, it has to be red. It just has to be.
Look at the next one. There's so many different environments, very, very different feel for each one of these shots. Here.
Yeah, so this is Dan. Dan is a music producer. Weirdly, he's the husband of the singer that was laying in the water. I know that he's worked with bands like Muse, Bring Me the Horizon, many that big name bands. So this was shot in his studio in East London. It just felt like I wanted to get a shot of him in his environment, and I didn't want it to be kind of like a documentary style portrait where he had headphones on and was at the desk, etc. I wanted it to be like, this is him looking straight down the barrel. It's eye contact. It's a portrait of him, but still within his environment. So it was good fun. He's done the moody look really well before we all lost it and started laughing. He did a good job there.
He looks very old school equipment. I don't see any like laptops or turntables or like the newer type computers or anything.
Yeah,
like
right. I
that.
mean, I think I'm sure he has all of that as well. But no, you're right. Exactly. That's what I think is so cool, is that he knows what he's doing. He's clearly very successful at what he's doing. So yeah, it's nice. It's a proper old school environment. It's cool.
You can't work in the music industry unless you have the ripped jeans, right? You need to have your jeans ripped or some tattoos or something.
I think
It's a
so. I'm
requirement, I
not sure
think.
it would be the same if he was, yeah, like, yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, it's funny. I don't think it would be exactly the same. I like the hairband around the wrist as well. That works.
A quick question before we look at your next photo. Do you have a dream shot or dream portrait shoot you'd love to do that you haven't done yet in your mind? I want to do this location or this person. Do you have a dream shot in your mind that you'd love
I mean,
to get accomplished?
I think the only person that I would really want to photograph is Sir David Attenborough. So who does all
Oh, okay.
the voiceovers and the BBC narration for the planet Earth and all of those kinds of things. And that man has lived life. He's seen the world. He's seen things that so many of us will never see or get around to seeing. There's so much depth to a person like that at the age that he is and the career that he's had. I'd like to look into those eyes, and especially through a camera lens, and just kind of see what you would get. But other than that, I don't have a burning desire to do anything in particular. I know that's quite unusual
Okay.
because most people do. But what I love about my job is that you don't know where it's going to take you next. It's so varied, so broad. The places that I have been to, the people that I have met, that I would never have dreamed in a million years this would have happened. If I'd said to 20 years ago to 22-year-old me that was just starting my business, what I would have ended up doing, I would have met and where I would have been in this career, I would have laughed at you. I love that, because then what's going to happen in the next 20 years? No one knows. That's part of the fun. I love it.
You never know who's going to reach out to you on social media or anything, right? That's part of the fun.
You just don't know. You never know what's coming, and you never know who's watching. I love it.
All right, let's look at your next one here. This is a very creative image. How did you
Yeah,
pull
this
this
is
off?
great. So this is my bendy friend Jess. She is a professional gymnast and stunt woman. She's like, I need some shots where I'm in action and jumping, etc. And wow, what this girl can't do is unbelievable. She defies gravity. She's absolutely a real talent with what she's doing. Before this particular shot, we'd done a few shots where we'd done the freeze in action, which is doing all these jumps and every strand of hair was frozen in the air, etc. We'd done all of those ones. And this time it was about how can we get movement into the image in a different way. So rather than capturing and freezing the motion and freezing the movement, we want to create something in here where it sort of shows some movement, but actually then shows her and gets a portrait of her at the same time, because she's always moving. How we did this was the technique of using the second curtain sync on the flash. It shows how talented she is, because in order to pull this off, we needed all ambient light in the room to be off. So it had to be completely dark. And then it was just the purple gel light. She just flipped over and done all this to get her landing position in an expression that she liked. We needed to walk through the motions and go through the movement to figure out where her landing position was going to be, set focus for that point, and then she was able to carry out the movement and to do the cartwheel, and then getting the timing right. How long was the movement going to take? Was it, because how long were we going to set the exposure for? Was it going to be 1 second, 2 seconds? How long was the process? I think I was amazed how quickly we pulled this off, but that comes down to how skilled she is. It shows that she was able to land in the same position every time. There was no missed focus. Wow. She nailed it every time.
There it is.
Wow. It was nice to create images for somebody that is creating a website and using them on social media, etc. When you've created some images that then benefited that individual to get work, that is so nice. When the people get back in touch with me and say, "Oh, look, I landed this job because of the new headshots that you did for me," or something, to be part of that journey with them is great. I love it.
There's no Photoshop here, right? No AI or Photoshop?
No, in all honesty, I'm so bad at Photoshop. I can't waste my time on it. I try and get everything as bang on as you can in camera, because I'm not one for sitting there editing and everything else, because I got things to do.
Okay, I think we have 2 more here. Is this Greece again?
Yeah. Here we are again. So yes, I was commissioned to work with Profoto, the Flash brand, and they set me a challenge, which was to basically shoot from sunrise to sunset. With the title of the project was called A Bag Full of Light. I was showcasing their different lights. I had like the A1X, the small light that they have, the B10 and the B10 Plus at the time. It was basically everything that I could carry on my back. I think I had two modifiers, maybe 3. And the idea was to, from sunrise to sunset, to capture as many images as I can using only what I could carry on my back around Santorini, which was great. This shot here was, this was taken just outside a restaurant, but in terms of sort of location, I mean, it's beautiful. What's so lovely about this part of the world is the sky just does the work for you. It just puts on a show, and you just don't know what you're going to get from minute to minute. And it's such a beautiful place to work. This shoot in particular was high pressure. We had a very small amount of time to actually find locations, get permits, permissions, all those sorts of things that we needed, get the right outfits.
You need a permit.
Get the right. Well, it depends where we were, and most places around Santorini. It's just being courteous as well. You just want to make sure that this is outside someone's restaurant. You don't want to suddenly turn up with lights and things and suddenly create a scene outside their restaurant and they're not happy. And nobody said no. No one has ever said no. But I just feel like it's better to get permission from the owner or the management or somebody. So therefore, it's getting those things, which might take a day or 2 for them to come back to you and understand what it is that you want to do, or you might have to go and meet them and explain what you're trying to do or something. And it was quite funny with this particular challenge, because we found a location for sunrise, because of course you've got to scout the island, you've got to find out where the sun's going to be at that time of day, etc. We woke up 5:30 or whatever it was. We're like, okay, right, let's get ready. Thick cloud. The sun was nowhere to be seen, which has never, ever, ever happened to me before, and probably will never happen again. But on the day of filming, thick cloud, we did not see the sun at all. So we ended up faking the sun instead. So this is sunset. This image is sunset. Okay. Yeah, no, I was just referencing how on this particular shoot that we were challenged for, we had to fake a sunrise with gels. If you find it on YouTube, you'll see it's hilarious. And when I say fake the sunrise, it was just kind of shooting some warming gels onto the model, because it kind of tried to give the illusion that it's the kind of glow that you would get from that light in the morning. Yeah, it wasn't there, so we had to make our own light instead. So it's good fun, but this was sunset. This was as the sun was going down. This was the opposite end of the day, so yeah, it was good.
Okay, let's look at the last picture. I think this is another one in Santorini as well. Okay, yeah, just go ahead.
There was an old abandoned church that our guides, our friends and our guides knew of. It was right on a cliff top. No one would ever know it was there. The idea behind this shot is that I just wanted to keep it really simple, really kind of classic Santorini and Greece, the white, the blue. We did actually try this shot with a red dress and I didn't like it. This is where I didn't want the contrast. I wanted it to be more about the landscape and she was part of it rather than her kind of like sticking out, as it were. So it's a real different kind of look for this one. Yeah, that was a good one. And thankfully my lovely Greek friend Paniotis is built like Arnie, so he was just holding this thing out on a stick, he's got it over his head, boomed like that. So I was very, very fortunate to have my Greek god assistant with me to be able to make this happen.
Yeah, she looks like Athena, the Greek god, in this picture.
It was interesting with the outfit because initially the brief that we were set was asked to not show any shoulders, hence why we tried the other dress first. But in the end, I just said, do you know what? I can't miss this opportunity. This outfit works so much better. She put her hair up. We changed everything, and I just said, shoot it. I'm just going to shoot it. And I was like, I don't at this point, I can't stick to every single rule. Like if the image looks better, the image looks better. And so I'm going to shoot it anyway.
Break the rules, break the rules.
100%, exactly, Nathan. Break the rules. So, although I did break the rules according to the brief and according to the instructions that I've been set, I got something else for safety first, and then I broke the rules afterwards. This was the image that they ran with in the campaign, so it's worth breaking the rules for.
There you go, all you young photographers. Break the rules, so make sure you have your backup plan, just in case.
Safety first, but then break the rule.
All right, final question for you. Any wild or crazy encounters or stories you have from all these locations, interactions with people in the environment, or anything that's happened to you out there in all these trips?
This is quite a long time ago. It was back in sort of 2015. Wow, that was 10 years ago. It's amazing how time passes. We were shooting a video tutorial series, again, for YouTube. It was about beginners photography. This was more sort of people trying to get to know their camera. For one particular episode that we were looking at, we were down on the far west coast of England in a place called Cornwall. We went to this tiny little fishing village down there, and we were looking for, we thought, well, what would work out well here for focus points, etc., composition, that kind of episode. Things really sort of evolved naturally, and we were looking for a fisherman to sort of photograph and to be part of the series. And we spoke to the harbour master down there, and he said, there's one guy, but he's a bit scary, and his name's Malcolm. Everybody knows him around here. I was like, what do you mean he's a bit scary? Like, how? And they were like, he's a bit moody and a bit grumpy and a bit this. I was like, surely he can't be that bad. Anyway, they were sort of saying, he's out at sea at the moment, he'll be back later. They gave me a number for him. Then we drove back in to this tiny village, and I saw this guy, and I was like, that has to be him. That has to be him. This guy had so much character. I said to the guide in the car, I said, I bet you that is this guy, Malcolm, 100%. And there I go. I was like, hello, this is weird. Are you Malcolm by any chance? I think he was like, yes. Who are you? What do you want? I was like, hi, my name's Hannah. I'm a photographer. I'm looking for somebody to photograph. And they sort of said to me that you're the guy that would be great to do this. This is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? I'm fully expecting to get a, no, I'm not interested, blah, 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 blah. And he was so lovely, so nice. And just, he was great. It was really funny because basically over the years, I've been back several times, and I've always photographed him every time I've been down there, because he epitomizes a character portrait. He's got so much character.
Well, send me some of those pictures of him. I'd love to put it in the podcast.
I will.
Send me some pictures. I will.
For sure, I will, because he's so great and he's so lovely. And we just ended up having this unlikely friendship. We asked him could he possibly do a little piece to camera himself about kind of like telling us about his days as a fisherman. We got the guy mic'd up. He stood there, rolled the camera. The words that came out of this guy's mouth, the guy is a poet. He was beautifully eloquent. I was like, what? How are these guys doing him such a disservice? He's still to this day in my phone as known as Malcolm's scary fisherman, because that's what they told me. That's what they were like. He's in my phone as that. I decided I never wanted to change it, but and since then he's been on BBC programs and everything else. He's been wonderful, and I'm not surprised because he has so much talent. There's a real depth to this guy. Yeah, I really like that. I really love it when you really don't see a situation coming, and then you end up with a wonderful result and a real lovely friend. It was great.
I love that story. That's a great way to end the podcast there. Thank you so much. Is Instagram or your website the best way to contact you? How do you prefer people reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to see sort of a broad range of my work, it's on my website, and that will be all the W's and then hcphotography.co.uk. But I'm definitely very active on Instagram, and I will do my best where possible to, with stories, etc. I like to take people with me on a job and show them sort of what I'm up to, the light setup, how I'm doing it. It's not polished, but it's definitely real. I can tell you that much. My Instagram handle is @Hannah Couzens Photography.
I'm glad we were able to make this work, even with a little bit of technical difficulties, but
sorry about that.
We'll
you can always rely on technology to fail you.
But yeah, just stick around here a minute just to make sure that everything gets uploaded. Appreciate you so much
taking time out of your busy schedule
Of
to do
course.
the episode. All right.
Of course,
Have a
that's
good
brilliant. Thank
day.
you so much, Nathan.